insurance recapitalization exercise has recorded a major milestone, with 43 insurance companies meeting the new minimum capital requirement under the Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act 2025. And to unpack this, I will be joined by Olusegun Omosehin, Commissioner for Insurance and Chief Executive of NIICOM. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Good morning, Perpetual, and thank you for having me.
All right. So insurance recapitalization had stalled for so long until the NIIRA-backed recapitalization came into force. With the capital raising phase over, how do you feel about the exercise?
Honestly, it's a feeling of fulfillment because the last time we had a successful recapitalization exercise was over 20 years ago, about 20 years ago, thereabout. And subsequent ones had always run into one hitch or the other. However, I think NIIRA 2025 provided the platform, the legal platform for us to be able to deliver a very successful recapitalization exercise. And to this extent, I feel fulfilled, and I think the entire industry is excited in terms of what we've seen. We've been able to attain a milestone where about 43 entities have been cleared. A few are still undergoing last-minute regulatory verification of their submissions, and that exercise is meant to be completed in the next 12 days from now. And then we'll be able to finalize on the process. However, the assurance is for and to our policyholders that our priority as a regulator, as National Insurance Commission, is to assure our policyholders that all current obligations are valid. No policyholders will be left unattended. There are orderly processes that have been put in place in case of entities that will not scale the hurdle. But overall, I think we've been able to deliver an exercise that has produced highly capitalized entities that are ready for the business of growing the economy of Nigeria.
All right. Can we put a number to it? We're hearing that there are like 10 other insurance who are yet to scale this particular, who are yet to complete the process. I would like to know, for those who are still undergoing validation, who probably in the next 12 days they would be cleared, and there may be those who would end up being merged, or those that would be liquidated, things in that regard, so we can just get clarity on what to expect. And I like that you've already spoken to the customers, saying that they should not be worried, that there is a process in line to ensure that they are well attended to.
Thank you, Perpetua. I think the important thing at this stage is to give assurances as to the full and final conclusion of this process. Like I said, the deadline we've given ourselves was 14 days from the date of our announcement, but from today it's just about 12 days. And to that extent, I would like to just put some form of caution in that respect, that the entities that would be finally cleared is dependent on the outcome of the final reviews, and that will be made very clear. We'll do a formal press briefing, and that will take care of that. But the assurance, again, like I said, is the fact that the process is going to be concluded within the defined time frame. One other key element I think that is important for us to note is this is also the first time in decades that the industry has been able to successfully see to the end of a recapitalization exercise. More importantly is the fact that even investors, operators, and the general public are excited as to the prospect of what a well-capitalized or the prospect of a well-capitalized insurance industry, what it means for the Nigerian economy. And I think the focus, should be more in that direction.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us, sir. Glad to know you're still with us. And I'm still speaking with Mr. Olusegun Omosehin, NIICOM Commissioner. Thank you so much, sir, for staying with us.
Thank you.
All right, now that insurers have sort of scaled the recapitalization hurdle, what are the next steps? And so beyond capital raise, what else will the Commission be monitoring to sort of ensure the strength and resilience, that is expected of the sector?
Perpetual, the next steps are clearly to see how we can begin to see the benefits that will flow from a well-capitalized insurance sector in Nigeria. And to this extent, we would like to see a situation where the enablement of infrastructure financing, for instance, through domestic mobilization of savings by insurers comes to the table, where insurance entities, adequately capitalized with bigger balance sheets, can then begin to invest in long-term bonds and finance infrastructure that will be to the benefit of Nigerians. Also, we want to see an insurance sector that is able to respond a lot faster to the issues of claims payment. We want faster claims settlement. We want Nigerians to begin to enjoy clearly the advantage of liquidity in a sector. The other thing is to see avalanche of new products which will emanate from innovation that we want to see following the capitalization that has just been completed. We also like to see a situation where the operators that have raised adequate capital can also begin to invest a lot more in technology, which would enhance, their distribution. We want to see a lot more in the area of digital distribution and other distribution channels. We also like to see, more importantly, a situation where insurance can truly play its role by way of, guaranteeing the stability of the economy. And how do I mean? We've been stunted for a long time due to lack of adequate capital, on the part of, operators. So we would like to see a situation where now that we have well-capitalized and, operators with bigger balance sheets can then begin to, de-risk investments for businesses, for households, and even, generally be able to give that resilience that the economy desires. So all of these are some of the immediate benefits we'd like to see. But on the part of the regulator, what we would see is the enforcement of new standards in terms of corporate governance. We want to see higher levels of corporate governance, in operations, higher levels of risk management, and we want to see improved market conduct on behalf of operators. We want to see customers being treated fairly, and we want to see substantial value for money, on the part of operators. So these and many more are areas where we want to see a lot more. And on the part of operators, of regulators as well, we've tried to up our games in terms of, consumer protection. You recall that only a couple of months ago, we put into place the framework of the Insurance Policyholders Protection Fund. These are essentially guarantees for Nigerian consumers that in the event of insolvency or of any entity, if it ever happens, that they will be protected. Because the Policyholder Protection Fund is fully in operation now, and we are happy to announce to Nigerians that the era of insolvency, which ultimately impacts, the investment of policyholder is gone. But more importantly is to also appeal to the Nigerian people that one of the critical advantage of an enhanced capital regime is for Nigerians to have the confidence, to come and invest or to come and seek protection from the insurance sector. Well, we know confidence building process takes a journey, but the reality is that foundation today has been laid. This exercise has provided that foundation, and hopefully we'll begin to see more in terms of trust that would come from the public. And the operators and the regulators will work together hand in hand to see how we enhance consumer awareness campaigns and even products, being prepared in simple languages, no technicalities in wordings, and all of this would overall create some level of trust and confidence in the minds of the people.
You've sort of answered all my questions, but there's this particular one I would like to ask, because on the exchange, we saw what happened when the banking sector was raising funds. I mean, we had several highs as a result of that, but while this one continued on the exchange, we didn't see so much movement in terms of price movement or even the all-share index, gaining severally and all of those things. What do you think is responsible for that? And, how can that get sorted? We'll close on that.
Perpetua, I think the market was waiting for clarity. If you ask me, honestly, I think the market was waiting for clarity. And that clarity is here. The operators have risen up to that occasion. Capital have been raised. As of today, we have 43 that have been cleared, and many more will follow. Like I said, we have about 8 or so that are still waiting for immediate verification. Hopefully those ones too, or some of them will join, those that have been cleared. And this would essentially affect, the perception of the market. The fundamentals are better now, and they are clearer. And of course, it might take a few, moments for the market to fully, align and, respond to some of this. But we are happy with what we are seeing, because we are building a very formidable insurance sector, which would live up to the expectations. We will just appeal that to investors, the best times are here, or I would say better times are here. This is the time, to begin to see considerable return on your investment.
Right.
Because I'm
right.
very
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Earnings would, go higher. And we'll start to see tremendous performance on the part of operators. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I've been speaking with Olusegun Omosehin, Commissioner for Insurance and Chief Executive, NIICOM. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.